Hi everyone, welcome to another video on my YouTube channel. Thank you for watching the first video and subscribing. I really appreciate it. I got a few feedback and comments for the first video, and I will continue to improve from here. So hopefully you guys can continue to give me good feedbacks and tell me what would you like to see, things like that. So yeah, I think one of you mentioned that the first video, the volume was a little low. So hopefully this one is already a little bit better, and I'll see what else I can do to improve on the audio. But yeah, so today's video is pretty exciting. It's the first installment of TillySpecs. So I call this segment this name because I would like to kind of talk about specific Tillandsia species on each of these videos to kind of let you guys know a little bit more about each of the air plants you own, how to care for them, what kind of variations there are, and things like that. So, you know, in your growing air plant collection, you can have an idea how to take care of each of them. Most of them take pretty similar care generally, but some of them do have a little bit more specific ask for example, like lighting situation, how to water them, and how it blooms and pups, things like that. So I will be going through that in each of these episodes. Without further ado, today's topic, or today's shining star for TillySpecs is none other than Tillandsia ionantha. So, it's one of the most common air plants, but it's still one of my favorites just because of how many styles and variations there are out there, and also just because how cute they look. Yeah, they're just a little tiny little plant, but they have many characteristics, and it's fun to collect them all, kind of thing. So it's kind of like collecting Pokemon, if you're into that. But anyways, today I also have some constructions going on out there. So hopefully that doesn't disrupt the video or the audio too much. But anyways, so for this video, I'll be bringing you guys closer to see the plants, since plants are more important than my face anyway. So yeah, so here I have all the ionantha in one tray. They are sometimes more organized than this, but I try to kind of put the same categories together. But yeah, I'll bring the camera closer. I'll be bringing the camera closer to give you guys a look at this awesome Tillandsia and talk about it. So let's do it. All right. So here they are. So for each of these videos, I will be giving them a rating of difficulties to grow, and also watering and light requirements. So I'll probably put that on the screen somewhere here, or here, I'm not sure yet. But also on my website, I have this kind of rating as well for all the plants. Yeah, so if you click on each plants on the website, you can see more details on how to care for them. But anyway, so let's dive right into it. So one of the most popular Tillandsia ionantha species is probably this one over here. This is the Tillandsia ionantha, Guatemala. So like the name suggests, it's a native Guatemalan ionantha species. It's a very easy to grow, friendly air plant, I would say. So a lot of you, if you have an ionantha at home, it's very likely this one. So it's a very thin-leaved species, and at a smaller size, it kind of looks like this. So very cute. So because of the thin leaves, if you give it a little bit less water than usual, you will start to see some brown tips especially on the lower leaves. So make sure you give it some spray here and there if you want to keep those leaves all nice and green. But in general, it's not a very demanding species. All the ionanthas. Yeah, so oops, I just knocked some over. Sorry, guys. Yeah, but other than that, I think Guatemala is a good one to start if you are looking into Tillandsia ionanthas. Okay, so next on the list we have these Tillandsia rubra. So I'll show you a small one first. So this is Tillandsia ionantha rubra that's at a smaller size. Hopefully these focus okay. But yeah, so you can see that the leaves are a little bit thicker than the Tillandsia ionantha Guatemala. So it has a little bit wider leaves, and also this specific type of rubra is called the Tillandsia ionantha rubra hard leaf. Yeah, so there's another soft leaf variation of them. So when they grow larger, they kind of look like this. I guess we'll show this one over here. Yeah, so as you can see, it's a little bit thicker leaf, and when you touch it, you can also feel a little bit more resistance. This one over here has a little bit of color on already. So when they go into bloom, rubra does turn a nice kind of orange-red color, and it's very lovely. So most of the ionantha colors up when they are in bloom, so that's another reason people really like them. However, there are some out there that are quote-unquote enhanced, so they are not natural color. They are sprayed with food dye, which from what I hear is not very detrimental to the plants. It definitely doesn't help them to grow, so it's just more for the looks. So if people are doing certain projects that require color, then they will probably get that kind of plants. Okay, so moving on, I have a few other species here that I want to talk about. So this one over here is growing in a clump. That means multiple plants is growing on one. So this is the ionantha Mexico. So of course, like it says, it's a Mexican variation of the ionantha. So it grows a little bit smaller. It can stay small, but it can also grow quite large. Funny enough, I don't think I have a Mexico here to show. Oh, but there's a larger one here. So this one also has two babies. Yeah. So they really like to grow in clumps, which means multiple plants on one. And the trichomes, which is the white hair, is pretty pronounced on this one. Okay, so sometimes you'll see these little brown leaves at the bottom. So these ones, and especially if they're crispy, then they're ready to come off. So just like that, if you think it affects the look. So that's the Tillandsia ionantha Mexico. One of my favorites because of how fast they can grow into clumps, and also they really like to bloom. So if you want an ionantha that blooms very easily, I think that's one of the great ones to start with. Okay, so let's go to another one that's a little bit more special and rare. So this one over here is called the Tillandsia ionantha zebrina. So zebra is in its name, so you can kind of see these little white bands on the plant. So these are natural forming patterns on this variation. So it's one of my favorites just because of how cool that is. No one really knows the reason behind these stripes. I think it just has something to do with how this plant was, how this variation came about in the wild, I think. It is not a hybrid. But yeah, one of the cooler species out there is the zebrina. It also has super thick trichomes, you know, like just because of how wide it is, you can tell that the trichomes are very thickly covered. All right, and a few more here. I have this one over here. This is Tillandsia ionantha. This is a white blooming variation. So this is very large growing, but they can start small. And there's a few different ones that have some white flower. So one of my favorites, because when they go into bloom, the leaves doesn't turn red. They go to a yellow kind of color, but not yellow like it's wilting. Yeah, like a bright yellow. So it's a pretty cool contrast compared to usual ionantha plants, which blushes red and blooms purple. These ones blushes yellow and blooms white. So this is called the ionantha druid. I forgot to mention the name, druid. And there's a few others that also blooms white. All right, and I think there's a few others out there. This one is also quite popular. It's called Ionantha scaposa, but recently it's been renamed to kolbu. Yeah, so on the website I use this new name to differentiate them from the other ionanthas. But I also count them as ionantha just because of the shape is quite similar. But yeah, very easygoing species. I do find them liking a little bit more water than the other ionanthas. So if you don't water them enough, the bottom leaves would start to turn brown. So give these a little bit more water. So they don't blush as red as the others, but also a very cute plant to grow in your smaller containers. They can go also quite tall compared to the other ionantha species. Yeah, so they don't go as fat at the base and kind of go up like this in a kind of fireworks fashion. All right, so here we have So there's another type of ionantha that grows on a stem, which we call caulescent form. So this is called the Tillandsia ionantha variation vanhyningii. Sorry if I butcher this name, but I'll put all these on the screen as well just to show you guys. So as you can see, they grow quite a different shape than usual ionanthas, kind of longer on the stem. Yeah, and the bloom's very beautiful when it comes out here as well. So they also like to grow in clumps, so you can grow these into a huge clump of ionanthas if you give them very nice condition. Yeah, so I think that concludes most of the ionantha variations that I wanted to cover. There's also ionantha peach and ionantha ecuador. Yeah, so there's so many different types out there that's some of them still yet to be discovered, and some of them I still need to collect out as well. But hopefully this helped you a little bit to know your ionantha more and how to take care of them. Yeah, so just to recap, they like bright exposures, but doesn't have to be full sun. Some of the thinner species, they can actually burn the leaves. Watering wise, they like medium amount of water. Yeah, so I find that they can go quite long without watering, but the bottom leaves might start to brown faster if you water them less. So in terms of difficulty, I'm gonna give this one a 1 out of 5 stars. So the lower the stars is, it's easier to grow. Yeah, so because I think this is one of the introductory air plants that a lot of people might have when they first start to grow air plants. It was one of my first air plants as well. Yeah, so I think in terms of difficulty, I'll give this one a 1 out of 5. Alright, so that concludes today's episode on Tillandsia ionantha for for the first episode of TillySpecs. Hope you guys enjoyed that and learned something from this video, and have some more clue on how to take care of your ionanthas. So as usual, let me know if you have any questions about the plants, or again what you would like me to talk about. So this one was a longer episode just because of how many Tillandsia ionanthas there are out there. But of course, in some of the episodes I'll be just talking about that specific plant, and if it doesn't have further variations, it will be a shorter video. But I will try my best to provide as much information as I can, and you can let me know if you have more questions. Alright, thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. That would really encourage me to give you guys more awesome content. But that will be it for today, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.